The Leader and the Led by Niyi Osundare. The lion stakes his claim to the leadership of the pack, but the antelope remember the ferocious pounds of his paws. The hyena says the crown is made for him, but the impalas shudder at his larder appetites. The giraffe craves a place in the front, but his eyes are too far from the ground. When the zebra says it's his right to lead, the pack points to the duplicity of his stripes. The elephant trudges into the power tussle, but its colleague dread his trampling feet. The warthog is too ugly, the rhino too riotous. The pack thrashes around like a snake without a head.
The lion stakes his claim to the leadership of
Our need calls for a hybrid habit, proclaims the forest sage, a little bit of a lion, a little bit of a lamb, though tough like a tiger, compassionate like a doe, transparent like a river, mysterious like a lake, a leader who knows how to follow, followers mindful of their rights to lead. This poem is by Niyi Osundare. Niyi Osundare was born in Ikere, Ekiti, Nigeria in 1947. He is an essayist, a writer for the theater, lecturer, and one of the most celebrated poets of the time. He has published 18 volumes of poetry, several plays, essays, articles, and criticism. Previously a professor at English Institute of the University of Ibadan. He is currently Distinguished Professor of English at the University of New Orleans. His poetry combines concepts and transitions of Yoruba culture with Marxist approach. He uses mythological concepts to underline his struggle against social injustice and inhumanity. Oh, Niyi Osundare prizes include 1991 Norma Award, 1998 for London for Lon Nichols Award, and the 2008 Chia U Chamandi Chiaya Chamash Award for the African Poetry, one of the African most prestigious poetry prizes. In 2014, he received the Nigerian National Order of Merit Award, Nigerian highest distinction for outstanding creative intellectual achievement. Now, let's talk about the analysis of this poem. And I'll be also sharing with you the lines so that you can easily comprehend the analysis. First, we'll find out personification. Assigning human qualities to non-human entities is what is referred to as personification. Now, the animals are given human qualities, such as ability to speak, to think, and to claim leadership. We'll find this in lines such as below. The lion stakes his claim to the leadership of the pack. The hyena says the crown is made for him. So hyena, you find hyena talking here. You find lion sticking to the claim here. Now the giraffe craves for a place in the front. Now you see giraffe here craving like a human would to be at the front. So this personification helps the poem. It helps the poet to use animal kingdom to reflect human political struggle. So moving on to the next literary device is metaphor. A metaphor is a direct comparison between two unrelated things to imply shared quality. As similar to metaphor is simile. Now, let's talk about metaphor first. Metaphor. The animals metaphorically represent different type of leaders. For example, the lion stakes his claim, represent an authoritarian leader. Now, he is taking the use of the word stake is a sign of authority. He's trying to be more intimidating and oppressive. So take note of that. To the leadership of the park. Now, giraffe craves a place in the front, represent a distant but disconnected leader who also wants to contribute. So now he's craving for a place in the front, but this is his craving. If he's craving, it means he was not there before. So he's craving for a place in the front. So it represents someone a leader who is distant and not connected. So now, in terms of simile, which is very similar to 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 what do you call it now? To metaphor. Why metaphor is a direct comparison. Simile uses like and as. I will find example of that here. Tough like a tiger, compassionate like a dog. The use of like is a simile, which is a comparison. But then we're focusing on that's one of those things you should take note of, which I did in documenting this particular slide. So now let's take a look at alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound at the beginning of the word. It adds rhythms and emphasis, and we see ferocious pounds of his pulse. You see there's a repeated sound of P, ferocious pounds of his pulse, pow, pow, P, pow, pow, pow. You see that ferocious pounds of his paw, P, P. So P sound repeatedly. Again, you see tough like a tiger, compassionate like a dog. So T is also another thing that you see, compassionate, tough like a tiger, compassionate, again like a dove. So T sound is being repeated there. That is an alliteration. You see fourth T and then and compassionate like a dove. Moving on to the next slide. It's imagery. Imagery is a vivid description that appeals to the senses, helping the readers to visualize the characteristics of each animal. So we see the ferocious pulse of his pulse. You can imagine that can make you imagine the pulse of a lion. So visual, and it is a clear visual and tactile imagery of danger and power. And then we have the impala shudder at its lethal appetite. Now this conveys fears and tension, and the impala is now reactive. He's afraid of the lion. So that's another imagery. When he shudders or he struggles, when someone is afraid, you draw back. It conveys fears and tension. So the next thing is transparent like a river, mysterious like a lake. So visual imagery. This is emphasizing balance and complexities. If you've ever been to a river before, you see that it's transparent because you can see the bottom. That talks about speaks to transparency and leadership. But when something is mysterious, then it becomes something that you can predict, you can see through. So you need a leader who is transparent, but at the same time balanced and mysterious, that is not easily predictable. Moving on, we have irony. Irony is yet another literary device that is used a situation where outcome is contrary to the expectation. So this is one of the strong literary devices where the opposite is said to just to convey the meaning that they intend to communicate. So a situation where the outcome is contrary to the expectation. There, there is an element of irony in the fact that no animal seems to fit to lead despite their claims and strengths. And we'll see the zebra says it is his right to lead. The pack points to the duplicity of his stripes. So it's ironic how it's got white and black. Ironic because zebra, symbolizing fairness and neutrality, is disqualified for his perceived inconsistency because of the color of his skin. And we've got zebra got black and white, and this will affect ability to make a decision when it involves different identities, different people. So now I will move on to symbolism. Symbolism is the use of objects and animals or characters to represent abstract idea. So each animal is symbolized different kind of leaders or leadership quality. For example, the lion symbolizes strength and dominance. The hyena symbolizes greed and opportunism, and we've got the giraffe, which symbolizes vision but distant from ground reality. So the height disqualify that. And zebra, deceptiveness and inconsistency in leadership. Moving on to the next thing, which is contrasts and juxtaposition. This is the placing two opposite ideas or images side by side to highlight the differences. So different animals and their different traits are placed side by side to highlight the difference between their leadership style. For example, tough like a tiger and what compassionate like a dog. So this gentleness contrasts the toughness. So they contrast toughness with gentleness. For example, another one is transparent like a river, mysterious like a lake. Contrast clarity with mystery. You see that? That is very interesting. And then we have literary devices such as repetition, the intentional reuse of words or phrases for emphasis is also noted here. So repetition emphasizes the struggle for leadership and the traits needed. A little bit of a lion, a little bit of a lamb reinforces the need for a balanced leader. So, and which is something that you don't have in Nigeria today. You need a leader who is courageous and a leader who is sympathetic. And then we'll move on to the next slide, which is enjambment. Enjambment is the continuing a sentence beyond the end of the line without a pause. And we see that it manifests in the poem. So the continuation of a sentence or phrase from one line to the next without a pause is called enjambment. Don't forget that. Tough like a tiger, compassionate like a dove, transparent like a river, mysterious like a lake. You see that flows consecutively, and then it works. It creates a fluid, an uninterrupted flow with that mirrors the complexities of ideal leadership. So take note of that. This is a flowing statement that reflects what the author intends to convey. All right. So moving on, we have the antithesis. Antithesis is mean it's similar to juxtaposition, but here you have contrasting ideas within a parallel structure. Contrasting idea within a parallel structure. So juxtaposition of contrasting idea within a phrase or a clause. A little bit of a lion, a little bit of a lamb, opposing qualities to depict a balance leader. So these are opposing qualities used to depict balanced leader. And then we have paradox. Paradox means a seemingly contradictory statement that reveals the deeper truth. So when I say seemingly contradictory, it reveals the deeper truth. Now, I say a leader who knows how to follow, if followers mindful of their rights to lead. It suggests that true leadership involves the ability to be humble and to understand the perspective of the follower. This is sacrosanct and it's one of the things that the poet has expressed in the poem. Then we have allusion, an indirect reference to a person, place, event, or an idea. Now, when you say allusion, it's like when you try to point to something, but you don't talk about it directly. So we'll see indirect references here to even biblical or moral principles. A little bit of a lion, we know the character of a lion, and a little bit of a lamb. We know lion alludes to an animal courageous and all. Why the lamb alludes to the biblical imagery of Jesus as both the lion of the tribe of Judah and also the sacrificial lamb. You remember that. So the lamb part of it, brings in the clarity of Jesus kind of humility. And then we have allegory. Allegory. Now the poem entirely is an allegory. So it falls under the category of an allegory. It's a complete narrative that uses symbols to convey a broader message. So it's the use of animals to convey leadership in Nigeria. So the entire poem serves as an allegory for political leadership, using animals to represent human traits and challenges of finding a balanced leader. So we'll move on to 14, apostrophe, which is implied. So addressing an absent person, object, or idea directly. So we see the forest sage indirectly addressing the community or the park offering guidance and wisdom. We see a voice that came and then the forest sage came. So who is the forest sage? It's a person that was introduced who is now offering wisdom. So the forest sage indirectly addresses the community or the park offering guidance and wisdom. And we've got parallelism. Parallelism, repeating similar structures in a successive line to emphasize balance and variety in leadership. Tough like a tiger, compassionate like a doe, transparent like a river, mysterious like a lake. Now you see this parallel. It's a parallel structure of the sentence. Stuff like a river, compassionate like a doe. You say like a tiger, like a doe. And now you say again like transparent like a river, mysterious like a lake. This is parallelism, but within it you will find what they call simile, and simile is spelled Simile. Don't mind my hell, but then that is it. Is the use of like and what and as when you're comparing as fast as a cheetah. You understand? That is what it means. So take note of that. That has not been captured in this slide, but now I've presented that to you. And parallelism is that is it. And then we'll look at it again. Let's pick out the the simile that was missing actually. So like a snake, you see this? Like a snake without a head. Like a snake, this is a simile. So when you find like or the use of as, these are simile. You understand that? So we'll move on to the next slide. We see what another one. Tough like a tiger, right? And what compassionate like a doe. That's simile. Mysterious like a lake, or transparent like a river. These are similes. So take note of this. And I hope that makes sense to you all. And I am hoping that this is clear. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments below. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next analysis.